Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, taking issue with Batman vs. Predator 3. Previously, Mr. Freeze survived the massacre of his gang thanks to his altered Sub-Zero physiology, and commandeered an ice cream truck in his escape. Batman borrows his own company's attack chopper to take on what he thinks is one Predator, and Robin is kept in the dark because he'd proved too tempting a target for trophy hunters from space. I'm sure that won't have negative repercussions later. The cover is an interesting choice, Robin fighting off one of the Preds as they fall in front of the projection of a black and white monster movie. When someone tells you to turn off your cell phone, you turn off your cell phone! We pick up with a splash page of Batman saying that he can't risk the cornered Predator escaping, so he's taking his borrowed helicopter into the alley, despite it being too narrow. He's got a taser all charged and ready when the Pred's companion lands on his tail and strikes it with his spear. This causes the craft to descend while clipping the window shutters of the surrounding buildings. Correcting my attitude. Of all the times for my therapy sessions with Dr. Hajiro to start taking effect.
Do you require my assistance, sir?
No, I've got it under control here. At which point Bruce ejects right before the chopper explodes.
Man, things haven't been the same since deregulation.
I'll get back to you after I've landed. Impressive that none of those windows in that confined area shattered after that explosion, and none of those spectators down there seem at all concerned about, the fireball or shrapnel. It must be one of those safe explosions that give up their kinetic energy after a couple of feet. As he parachutes down, Batman realizes that there's more than one visitor in Gotham, as the Preds get away. And I don't know if the rescuer is celebrating or chastising his cohort. Elsewhere, police have stopped the ice cream truck Mr. Freeze hijacked last issue, I guess getting some tips off panel, but the only one inside is the driver, now deceased. His co-workers will inform his family, pay their respects at the funeral, and then engage in traditional gladiatorial combat for his route. Alfred and Bruce return to the Batcave, with Tim warned not to ask about their secret jaunt. The boy wonder changes the subject to the elusive Freeze, who would only last maybe 20 minutes in the 100-degree weather. Estimating he could perhaps get a quarter mile from his last location, we jump to a clothing store, specifically a furrier, where Robin is already skulking around in the cold storage room. Geez, I don't get the internet's fascination with these furries. They just look like regular coats to me. Victor leaps from hiding, attacking with a lengthened chain and some cold puns, but Robin takes him out with a couple hits and some snark of his own. I came, I thawed, I conquered. That's why you should always study famous quotes from history, kids, because someday you might win a fight and need a handy reference for some victorious wordplay. A short time later, Bats has arrived and asks Freeze why he was spared while his gang was killed. The doctor tries playing dumb, but Batman reminds him that even at night, the temperature is in the triple digits, asking how long he'd last out there instead of a nice refrigerated cell at Arkham. He finally fesses up, naming each one of his goons being slaughtered like animals. Kind of odd to get so specific. It can't be for sentimental reasons, but whatever. However, the attackers seem to look right through the frigid felon. Later, as the police are hauling him away, Batman reminds Robin that he was on the case until Freeze was found, so now he should spend time as Tim Drake until called back in, so he doesn't get in the way. Batman swings off without discussion or explanation, with his sidekick saying he knew the risks when he took the job, and asks what's different now. Just as we see a distant Predator's POV of him in a hero pose. There are so many ways Batman could handle this better. Even if he wants to maintain the power dynamic of what I say goes, he could be more stealthy about it, especially since he's Batman. Perhaps liken it to a hypothetically less experienced crime fighter going against, say, Killer Croc or Sinestro. Sure, they may be aware of them to some degree, but wouldn't be ready to face them, and shouldn't make themselves a target. But hey, he's the world's greatest detective, not the world's greatest employer of nuance. The Preds watch Tim swing off, mocking Batman's excuses and snarking that he should hide under his bed until it's safe. In the trophy area of the cave, Bruce glares at Bane's mask while admitting the fault in his strategy, saying he needs to control the environment he faces the visitors in. Luring them somewhere, he'll have the advantage. When Alfred asks what he'll use as bait, Wayne looks at him with a knowing smile.
As I might have surmised.
I will help you carry the giant mousetrap from storage, Master Bruce, but I will not wear that cheese wedge costume again. Later, Bruce is at Wayne Tower working on his putting, as Lucius is informed about the missing prototype attack chopper. A disguised Alfred introduces himself as Archie Nichols from OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, saying there's streptococcus in their vents and they'll need to shut down overnight for fumigation. Are you saying the building is sick, Mr. Nichols? As a dog, sir. I figured it was showing symptoms. High fever, runny nose. Bruce, someone turned the thermostat up and the restroom sinks are leaking. So you're saying that flushing chicken soup down the toilets didn't help anything? Despite being a 24/7 operation, Bruce suggests everyone gets the day off with pay, which will make Mr. Fox look like a hero in their employees' eyes. We go to Harvey Bullock and Renee Montoya, questioning Mr. Freeze about his dearly departed henchman. He's not talking, so they head out for coffee. And not a single line about getting Vic an iced latte? What are Gotham tax dollars paying these cops for anyway? We go to the air-conditioned mall, where Tim and then-girlfriend Ariana are hanging out, when his friend Ives and possibly his girlfriend, because hey, she's wearing glasses too, tell them about a drive-in showing 50s sci-fi movies. With his nights now free and Ariana eager to go, Tim is on board, though maybe not with the most visible enthusiasm. Feh, teenagers. Can't go one night without putting on a costume and fighting gang members, drug runners, and theatrical lunatics without pouting about it.
Oh, okay. Then I guess just pout.
Posing as cleaners with real high-tech gear, Alfred and Bruce see off the last employee to leave the building. Though Pennyworth doesn't look any different here, no prosthetic makeup, no wig or toupee, and Bruce just has a fake mustache. Kinda sloppy on both their parts, even if they are in a rush to wrangle space hunters. Speaking of, they're chilling on the bridge when one notices two beams of light shooting from the distant Wayne Tower. Batman is there, in a new suit that exudes a temperature of -10°C, but keeps his body insulated at normal.
How toyetic can you get?
Let's pray it continues to do so. Otherwise, you might very well freeze to death in a heat wave. And you know there are just so many supervillains with either heat or ice-based powers that would find that extra hilarious. One of the Predators begins scaling the building cloaked, and when he thinks he hears something behind him, doesn't register Batman standing right there, and proceeds to walk inside. And if Bruce's new duds didn't remind you of RoboCop before, this close-up ought to do the trick. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am running malware checks for justice. Bats follows inside with a cannon, fires, and hits his target with a small burlap bag? Is that supposed to be filled with money? I know he's rich, but did he finally decide to literally weaponize his fortune? He then hits the Pred with a taser and tells him to stay down, but the alien rips the prods out as if to say, don't wanna. Bruce goes on the offensive, attacking the brute and demanding to know where his partner is. The hunter then catches one of Batman's punches, overpowers him, and has him near the edge of a hallway, over a gap through the many, many floors of the building, and ominously repeats Robin's earlier dialogue about understanding the dangers of crime fighting. From there, we go to the drive-in, where Tim is not as into old cheesy sci-fi as his buddy Ives, who loves them because they're so bad. Maybe that's why some people enjoy a certain writer I've repeatedly maligned. I've been misinterpreting totally ironic adulation this whole time. The comic ends with Tim snarking about anyone ever finding these movies genuinely scary, as we see the other cloaked Predator on top the screen. He's either there to kill Robin or riff the movies MST3K style.
Bowser, Bowser, Louse Tower, Sabbity, Sabbity, Souse Tower, Bibbity, Bobbity, Bows Tower, Bobbity, Dobbity, Tower.
So this is a good example of Batman coming to a logical conclusion without having to explain everything. Of course, knowing about Mr. Freeze's biology, he gives an educated guess that maybe it's low temperatures that can offset the Predator's at least standard vision, so creates a suit to take advantage of that, though continues to make the illogical decision of keeping Tim in the dark. Being in a time before Jason Todd was retconned back to life, it would be all too easy to excuse this as him trying to protect his sidekick and not have another loss. However, if he's worried about Tim just going off on his own to fight this threat to prove himself or something, the story hasn't exactly shown him to be that brash or reckless. There are a couple of minor issues, like Alfred and Bruce's poor disguise job. The art kind of makes this Predator look like he's going Super Saiyan God or something. And that one-page scene change of Bullock interrogating Freeze to no avail, that didn't really seem to serve a purpose. But it might have if you'd included that ice latte pun. Tune in next week to see if any moviegoers literally lose their heads, or if Bruce learns anything from not telling his sidekick about a very real threat to his life. Probably not. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.